Hello?
Hey, Rob. How are you?
Now I hear.
Yeah, they're getting out there.
Hi, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi. How are you? I'm the owner of 212 Bellevue.
Hey, Rob, my computer says the meeting has not started yet. Is that true?
Oh, the meeting's going on. Join the meeting. There you go.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see everybody now.
All right, I still gotta.
Is Michael Trevisto with us yet?
How are you?
Are you
Can
calling?
you hear me?
Yeah, Michael, are you calling in?
I am, yep.
Okay. You see him there, Rob? We just want to make sure that we can identify you on the screen so we can unmute you when it's time for you to talk.
Okay, no problem.
You see him there, Rob?
What's the last name?
Call in user 2. It's Mike Treviso. He's the
Yeah.
applicant on 7A.
All right, I can't rename it, so we'll just have to address that when we get there.
Yeah. Just know that that's him, so you can unmute him. Mr. Grappone, how you doing? I saw your name out there the other day. About some bridge you guys are doing here?
Yeah, for Spring Street Bridge.
Yeah,
Yep, that bid opening will be Friday.
that's not our bailiwick, but it's like, I know that guy.
From what I understand, it's going to be a good amount of bidders. They're hungry right now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that public work is drying up a little bit. Are you going to be our flag bearer, Rob?
That's right.
Maybe we can get her to march in. Mr. Riccio, how you doing? I got 7 o'clock. How many people we got up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just the roll call. Right.
Rob, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Rob, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gork,
Commissioner Gork here.
Commissioner Locks,
Commissioner Locks here.
Commissioner Volpe,
Commissioner Volpe here.
Commissioner Macchio, alternate Albanese, alternate Coles,
Alternate Coles here.
alternate Stavlokel, Secretary Santiago,
Santiago here.
Vice Chair Zalka,
Salka here.
and Chairman Hammersley.
Hammersley's here. I did hear from Jim Maggio, Teresa, and Joe Caviello that they wouldn't be available tonight. We're going to see Caleb in place of Jim Maggio. I believe we have a roll. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Good job. Here, give a flag.
Rob's daughter's got a flag for us, so.
Put your hand on your heart. So start, go ahead.
Okay.
Allegiance,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. If any more. Okay. Thanks. Number. Get a motion to approve it's from the special.
Commissioner Salko makes a motion to approve minutes from the previous meeting.
Just talk with.
Santiago, I'll second.
Commissioner Santiago with us. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gwark abstains, just for the record.
Got it. Thanks. Any objections? Motion 6 in favor, 0 against, 1. Moving on to the minutes for the regular meeting for 2020. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
Coles makes a motion to approve.
Coles with a motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Volpe will second that.
The second.
I got one.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Here to pass the 7-0. Moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, 7A, Michael Treviso, special permit application to construct a garage in excess of 3 spaces, property located Valley Court in an R4 SPU number 642. Michael, you have the floor. Can you just tell us what you plan on doing out there?
Between me and my wife, we just moved to Southington. We have 3 vehicles. I love to take care of my property. Love my lawn care. I have 0 turn, tons of equipment just that I've collected over the years. I would like the space if it gets approved for the 3 vehicles and another bay just for my lawn equipment.
Okay. And Michael, you provided us with a rendering of sketch on your site plan for where you're locating that garage?
Yeah, I provided all that information.
Out in the packet. Just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Okay.
So at this point, Michael, we open up to members if they have any questions. And I guess I'll go through.
Sure.
We'll start with Commissioner Santiago. Do you have any questions, Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know, sir, you have it stated in your in what you provided, but because you had different renderings and you're only going to do the 2-car one, not the picture that shows 3, right?
Correct. That was just a design from the magazine that I liked, but it would be a 2-bay garage.
Right. And you're going to have no business running out of there, right?
Correct.
Okay. I guess the other thing I'd ask in cases like this, which is the garage will match the style of your home. In other words, if you whatever siding or whatever you have on your of your home will match the garage, right? So it won't detract from what you already have in the neighborhood, correct?
Correct. I would like it to match exactly the way they did this home, from the siding to the shutters to the color to everything.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thanks. Commissioner.
Peter covered them all.
Go ahead. I think you're muted.
I said Peter covered them all, so
You're
you're all
covered.
set.
Okay. So you're all set. Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Gore.
This is Commissioner Gwark. Commissioner Santiago covered most of mine. The only remaining one, I guess, is just, it looks that that's part of your property slopes down towards the north. Do you plan on bringing in fill to make it level with the driveway? How are you going to address the basically the slope there?
So yeah, I would like to level it out so it's the same plane as the driveway. And then however they do it, whether they raise it with the foundation or whoever I hire, however they suggest not to tamper too much with the slope and the pitch, because I know that when they do developments, they want water to run certain ways. So.
Okay, this is Commissioner Gwark again. I guess the only other thing, is there going to be any loft space in this garage or second floor? You
No.
just plan on, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's just going to be one story, maybe a little bit higher of a ceiling, just because I would like to park my truck in there, and that's about it.
Sounds good. It's Commissioner Gwark. That's all I have, Bob.
Cole.
Good evening, Commissioner Coles here. Thank you for the application. Just a couple questions. The foliage that you have surrounding your property, when you do the construction project, are you going to have to remove some of those trees that are would they be in the way of the structure, and any of those trees are used there right now as a screening for your neighbors? Is that going to be impacted?
Nope. It should be, the tree line is far enough away where we wouldn't have to touch any of those trees. And there is one tree on the side of my house, but where I've laid it out on the lot plan, it wouldn't come close enough where it would be in the way.
Good. And then my follow-up question is kind of in lines with what Commissioner Santiago had asked. The structure itself, is it a similar height? And I apologize if it was in the documents that you submitted. Is it a similar height to the main structure?
You mean the home? My home?
Yes. Is your home
no,
2 stories?
My home is 2-story, yep, and it has a higher pitched of a roof. But this is just going to be 1 story, so it won't even be half of this size, I guess.
Of course. Okay, I'm going to shut it down because I just finished getting on there.
Can we just be sure we're staying muted, whoever's not speaking?
Yeah, it looks like Frederick Cox is not muted right now.
All right, I got that one.
There we go. Okay. Go ahead, Caleb.
I think those covered the questions. I just wanted to make sure that the rest of the neighborhood wasn't going to have to, be heavily impacted by the construction of the new structure. But I appreciate your answers. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Caleb. Commissioner Volpe.
Commissioner Volpe here. My fellow commissioners were very thorough this evening, but I did want to compliment on this application. Thank you for providing everything that you did for us tonight. It's very refreshing and impressive. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Christina. Commissioner Salka.
I have no questions. All of my questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. So, Michael, what we do now is we open up to members of the public to see if anyone's out there who wants to submit or give us some testimony, either in favor or against, or somewhere in between on this application. So at this point, I'll ask if there's anybody who is out there who'd like to testify in favor of this application. Please unmute yourself, identify yourself, and let us know what you're thinking, please.
Real quick, Rob Phillips, just for the record, we do have a letter of support from Mark Halliday, 29 Metacomet View. And I just want to get that out of the record.
And that's included in the packet, Rob?
Correct.
That's online for everybody to see. Okay, thank you. Absolutely. So again, if there's anybody out there who'd like to testify in favor of this application, please unmute yourself and let us know what you think.
Good evening, folks. This is Mike Linehan. How are you?
Good, Michael. How are you?
I'm well. Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you this evening. I have taken a look at the application. And first of all, I know Mike's on the call. Mike, welcome to the neighborhood. You and I have not met each other.
Mike Linehan, can you just give us your address just so we have that for the...
I'm 2 houses down from Mike, 184 Valley View.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Thank you.
Just some questions. I think tonight answered a few of the questions that I have. Again, this building or this garage structure will certainly be very close to the proximity of my home and others in my surrounding area. But some questions. First and foremost, I got a better idea of the size because there were some questions on whether or not it was going to be a 2 or a 3 car garage, but you've answered that. I know that you own a business, and I know that, I hear that this will not be used from a commercial perspective. But I wanted to make the committee aware, and also Michael aware, that when we all bought these homes in, 2000 and change, there was a restrictive covenants that cover a number of provisions for each one of us to follow. And I want to submit these to the committee for consideration in terms of, and what it does is that it says here, whereas it is the intent of these restricted covenants to provide general and uniform plan of development for all of the aforesaid building lots owned by it or shown on the address on the map, to impose conditions, covenants, and restrictions for the benefit of all the land in said development. So I want to share, again, these covenants certainly are there, things such as cannot use the residence for commercial purposes, no fence or hedging can be erected, no, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera here. But the one that draws my attention in regards to building a structure like this is covenant number 8, where it pertains to any building that's not attached to the actual primary residence. It says here, including but not limited to utility sheds shall be placed in such a manner as not to be visible from any public street. So, again, I'm assuming these covenants are enforceable, but I just wanted to make Mike aware of them. That again, most of us, if we're putting any type of unattached facility, it had to be in the manner in which it was not visible to the street, any form of any street, which I would assume that this one is going to be visible from the street. So therefore, it would be an exception to these covenants.
Okay. Thanks, Michael, for bringing that to our attention. I'm going to turn to Rob Phillips and ask covenants play in our decision-making process.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Homeowners association covenants, things of those nature. Those are of a private nature between the property owners and the association, or whatever covenants that their properties are subject to. However, obviously getting it on the record, if there's any reason for anyone to pursue anything further, certainly having this on the record will be helpful for them. But the commission themselves, we really don't have any authority to enforce any kind of homeowners association covenants or anything of that nature.
And Rob, Valley View Court is a public street. It's owned by the town and maintained by the town.
I believe so. I don't know if Jim Grapone's on the phone or on this call. He could maybe confirm that, but that's my understanding. That's true.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. It is a public road. This is Jim Grapone.
Okay. Michael Linehan, I'll turn back to you to see if you have anything you want to share after what we just heard.
So again, just for my education, so these covenants are not enforceable in this situation, is what you're saying?
Yeah, Rob Phillips again, not by the Planning and Zoning Commission. That would be a situation where For example, maybe a property owner within that development isn't following the covenants that were placed on the property, on each individual property. Certainly the majority of the property owners, whatever, can always try and file something through a superior court to enforce the covenants, but the Planning and Zoning Commission would not get involved with that.
Got it. Okay. Or to go to someone like Calvin Easton Kastner was the one that actually drafted these. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll also add, sometimes those covenants do sunset, so that's something to be aware of as well too. I've seen many times after 10, 20 years, things sunset.
Yeah, there is a provision that which says, but that they're still in effect though. But I appreciate that for that comment. Yep.
Well, let's see what Michael Treviso's take on that is. Mike, go ahead.
My take is.
Were you aware of this?
I was not. That's what I was going to mention.
Okay.
That one, I wasn't aware of it, and two, I see everyone's cabanas from the street for between detached sheds, detached cabanas for pools. I could pretty much see everyone's from every street. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, it doesn't sound based. Go ahead, Michael.
No,
go ahead.
It makes a fair point. And again, it's a matter of, are we complying to these or not, I think would be the question. We all have tried as best we can. I know that we in building the home, we're required to build to a certain standard, or to a code, et cetera. So I understand what Mike is saying, but we do try to uphold these provisions to ensure the beauty of the home, of the neighborhood. That's all.
Right.
No, absolutely. And I just want to say that if you want to come over, we could talk. But I assure you that this is going to be a Class A building. It's going to be beautiful. I don't do anything less than that. And like I said before, I want to match exactly this house to the barn. To the garage. And I'm going to make it as nice as I can. And believe me, not knocking the person before, but she didn't really take good care of the premises, and it's going to be a big turnaround come next spring for sure.
Well, Mike, you and I can have a beer. I'm good with it. Again,
awesome.
Really, I appreciate it. Appreciate your candor, and we'll again looking forward to meet you.
Can I come over and have a beer, Mike?
Thank you.
No, you can't.
Yeah. You all can come.
Be careful. Mike Treviso, I want to make you aware, it's not unusual for us to put stipulations on an application like this along the lines of what we talked about, that you can't have a business running out of there, that the exterior has to match the main building structure. So if you hear that during the course of the business meeting, don't be too surprised by it, because we do get these occasionally, and as I said, it's not unusual for that to happen. So it's just to make sure that if you were to sell the house, that it stays the way that you are representing you're going to build it. So,
yep.
Are there any other members of the public out there who would like to testify in this application? I don't see any. Rob, is this ready for action? Is there any need to keep the public hearing open on this?
No, I don't see a need.
Okay, and one last time, any members of the commission have any further questions before we close the public hearing on this? I don't see any, so we'll close the public hearing, move on to item 7B. Severino Bravino, VP, KJA, agent for Michael Riccio and David Carbetta. Application to change zone boundary for R2025 to a B zone. Property located at 307 Merida Waterbury Turnpike, owned by Campanos LLC, parcel size 0.83 acres. This is zone change number 568. Sever, are you bringing this one out? Sever, if you're bringing it out, you need to unmute yourself. Rob, can you unmute him?
I sent the request.
Mr. Chairman, commission members, can you hear me?
There we go. Okay. Yep, go ahead, Seb.
could you upload that area map on the screen?
Okay, which area map is that?
The one that was with the application, the 500-foot radius map.
Okay, 1 second.
I'm sorry to butt in. Am I all set, or do I need to stay on the phone?
Well, I'm sorry, Michael. So your application is going to be taken up under item
Thank you,
8A.
Rob.
So we have 2 more applications under the public hearing, and then we're going to go into our business meeting, and your item is the first one on that business meeting part of the agenda.
No problem.
And that's where we'll either approve it, not approve it. We may decide to take no action tonight. And those are the possibilities. So,
Not a problem. So I'll just hang out.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
it's a good time, Michael. Fun.
Mr.
Go
Chairman,
ahead, Sev.
Commission members, my name is Sev Bovino, planner with Kratz & Jones and Associates, representing the applicant. With me tonight is Dave Carabetta, Colin Carabetta, and Michael Riccio, and Mr. Fazzullo. They may make statements regarding the application as we go through the meeting. Mr. Chairman, the property in question is located at 307 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike, just west of the intersection with Meriden Avenue. As you look at this map, north is up on the map. You see Meriden Avenue to the right of the screen and Meriden Waterbury Road to the south. And property is outlined with a heavy line. This property is served by public water and sewer. The land area is 0.83 acres with 128.67 feet of frontage. There are 2 non-conforming buildings on the property built in 1948. One of the buildings is 3,064 square feet. The other is 1,040 square feet. These buildings are used for manufacturing and a small engine repair shop. The use of manufacturing has been at this property for many years. The property is zoned currently R2025. It has residential zone to the west, north, and portion of the northeast, the east side of the property. 2 parcels to the east, the old Ace Appliance site, which is now removed, are zoned business at the intersection. And land to the south and southeast is also zoned business. There's a gas station to the east. Dunkin' Donuts is another retail to the southeast, and 1 multifamily building to the south across the street. The 2 parcels to the east are owned by the applicant. They were used by Ace Appliances, and there used to be a gas station there. The buildings were removed and environmental cleanup was done to that property. The proposal before you is to rezone number 307, Meriden Waterbury Turnpike, to a B zone. And that's the parcel outlined on that map. This request is an expansion of the existing zone. It is not a spot zoning, and it will allow for a more appropriate development. The intent is to combine the 2 properties at the corner with 307. Which will allow it to meet current standards in land development, like proper drainage, landscaping, parking, buildings, setbacks from the roadway, etc. And also will meet the current demand in the marketplace. The applicant has provided a traffic study for a possible use. The report concludes is that the level of service will not be diminished. It will operate at level C or better. The traffic will be well managed within the site, and the public roadway system can handle the additional trips. Together with the application and appropriate fees, we provided the area map, which was shown prior on the screen, showing properties and owners within 500-foot radius. The owners were notified, and the proof of notification was provided to the planning department. We respectfully submit that the zone change request meets the goals of the plan of development to balance the tax base between residential and business, provides for the best use of the property. The local roadways can handle the additional traffic, property has the appropriate frontage and utilities, and that the request will not have a detrimental effect to the public health, safety, and welfare of the area. If you have any question at this time, we'll be glad to answer.
Thanks, Ev. Mike or who else do we have on? David or Carmela, I think it was. Is that who else is with us? Do they have anything to add?
Bob, Mike Riccio, can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Mike. Just give us your name and address and
Mike
share
Riccio,
your thoughts with us.
124 Andrews Street, Southington. We have looked at the uses for this property, numerous uses, and no matter what use comes there, it is appropriate for an expansion of the zone only because of, we're looking at over 18,000 cars a day passing by this property. It's an existing non-conforming use that's long past its time. We're very, very excited to actually be cleaning up the entire corner and putting a use there that will be beneficial to the neighborhood. So we strongly believe and have since we purchased this that a zone change for that third parcel is more than appropriate.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. David, do you have anything to add?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. No, as Mike said, it would be a...
David, can you just, before you get started, can you just identify yourself and the address that you live at? Just, we need it for the record, so.
Sure. My name is David Carabetta. I live at 601 Winding Ridge, Southington, Connecticut. Basically, to reiterate what Mike has stated, we've owned the property for a good number of years, and it's obviously, as we all know, it's the gateway entrance to Southington, and we're excited to make some revisions, bring it up to code, and I think the town will like what we've proposed long term.
Okay. Okay. Let's open it up to commission members to ask any questions they might have. Peter Santago.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I speak, though, I think Mr. Fasul has hand up and wanted to say something, so I'll yield for Mike.
That's okay. I'll wait till it's open discussion.
Okay. So I think, Sev, just to be clear, in the packet you provided an area map. So on the area map, what's in red there is where you're seeking the zone change. So from the corner out is right now business, in that rectangle area that's provided on the area map. That's the piece that you're looking to make business, right?
Correct.
And it's zone business. The other parcel is zone business where Ace Appliance was, right?
That's right. Yeah, the corner piece, the two parcels at the corner are zone business.
Okay, so it's that rectangle type looking areas where you're getting the change, right?
Yes, the shaded area. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where the two non-conforming buildings are, the industrial buildings.
Yeah. So was this ever? Does anybody know, Rob or Seb? Was this ever zoned industrial at one time, and so it went from industrial to R20?
No. It's
so it was R20 with an industrial building non-conforming thing. That's what it was.
Rob Phillips, I didn't do any research on the history of that particular site as far as the zoning, but many times the zone changes over the existing use. It may not have been a small engine repair or whatever it is. It may have been something different.
Yeah.
But that's usually the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, this parcel's been a mess forever. I mean, you go by there. I mean, even when Ace was there, I mean, this particular corner to be blunt, has been an eyesore for a bit. So to do anything on it, I think is okay. I think so one thing you didn't kind of talk about, Sev, because you have a rendering here, is the business you're looking to put here is what?
The intended use, and I mentioned it was part of the package, it's a car wash. In a zoning application, you normally don't deal with future use, because once it's zoned, they can apply for all the uses there in the regulations. But we want the commission to know that's the intended use. The proposal is a car wash with a driveway entrance from Meriden Warbury Road, as you can see on this plan, which is on the south side of the property. It's a one-way circulation going through the bays and out to Meriden Avenue. It's all one-way circulation.
Right. So, because the reason I bring that up, thank you, Seb, is that we'll probably have more discussion around site plan and traffic coming in and out of there when the time comes to talk about the business and to talk about the site plan. But for tonight, should we change the zone, expand the existing business zone into that other parcel for use? Because otherwise we're going to get wrapped up tonight talking about site plan when we'll have enough time to talk about site plan. So I guess initially, a couple months ago, we had a change in a zone from industrial to business, not too far down the road. And so now we're making a residential, R20 business to go inside. And it seems like that particular parcel has been through a lot of things over the years in terms of non-conforming use and stuff that goes there. So, I'm hopeful whatever we do there that it is can stay, because I'd hate to have another business there and it not be successful. Because as I think it was Mr. Carabetta said, it is, one of the first looks of people when they come into Southington, look there when you come off of 691. And so you'd want something that that looks good in that particular parcel, because right now it doesn't look good. All right, that's really all I have at this time. I probably will have, if we go forward, more questions, site plan related and the business related, when that part comes up. So I don't have anything further right now.
I just want to give you a little bit more information on the buildings. They were built in 1948, which means that they were built prior to the zoning regulation, which came in 57.
In 1957? Okay.
Okay, so that means that it's very possible that they were built in the residential zone and they used them for industrial purposes for doing whatever they were doing there. But it's always been some kind of repair facility and commercial uses.
Right. Thank you, Seth. Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Peter. Sue Locks, Commissioner Locks.
You mentioned that this area was cleaned up. Was it just the gas station area, or was it the older buildings also? Was there soil tests done?
Just the corner property.
Just the corner property?
So there was a house and the old Ace Appliance building.
Mike, can you just identify yourself? I just want to
Mike Riccio.
Make sure that we have our secretary be able to know who's talking. So if we could just identify yourself, please.
Sure, Mike Riccio, the applicant. We removed one house and the Ace Appliance building, and we've spent well over $500,000 cleaning up the site. So remediating the soils there, remediating the groundwater and everything. So the site is now clean. We've been preparing for this for several years.
Now, was that the same thing done on that little machine shop or whatever also?
No, as of right now, there's no need to do any environmentals there other than remove that structure. If there are, at the time of the removal, we'll deal with that when that building comes down.
Okay, because usually there's a lot of oils involved in those type of little shops. So
right.
I'd like to see that happen.
Oh, that's without question. And our one of the partners on this has his entire career was an environmental cleanup. That's Dave Carabetta.
Okay. It'd be nice to see that area shaped up.
Thank you. We're excited. Thank you.
Agree.
Thanks, Sue.
Bob.
Commissioner Gwark.
This is Commissioner Gwark. A lot of my questions would have to deal with a site plan as far as adding a lot of impervious surfaces and runoff to the neighbors, especially to the west. And then I guess my only question for this application would be, As far as along the borders of the machine shop, are those trees on your property, or are they going to be removed? Or I'm just nervous about the cover for those, the residents, 321 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike and the 1644 Meriden Ave. That's basically my main concern.
Yeah, there will be.
Seth, just identify yourself, please.
Seth Bovino, planner with Crescent Jones. There will be walls and fences and landscape and a combination of everything to provide buffers to the neighbors. I don't believe that there's any trees to the north of the property looking at Meriden Avenue, substantial amount. There's trees on the west side, and we will do the best we can to preserve some of those. But it's our intention to have fences and landscape and walls to create that buffer.
It's Commissioner Gork again. Yeah, I was just reading the two letters in opposition from those neighbors and their concerns. A buffer would be definitely welcome. And then I guess my last comment, well, it's site plan, so I'll hold off on that actually. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Commissioner Coles?
Again, thank you for the application. Just one question, I guess, with regard to the zone change and not site plan specific. My question just relates to hours of operation. If we have a existing residential zone that was not used, at all hours of the day, how is that going to impact the neighborhood? If by permitting this zone change, our hours of operation are going to be expanded to the point where it could become a nuisance to the neighbors? That's my question.
Provision in the business zone regulations.
No, that would specifically be associated with the the site level review. I mean, at this point in time, what you're really looking at is, is the zone change appropriate for the area as far as expanding the business zone outward from that corner, and you also want to look at the plan of conservation and development as well. And I guess I'll just quickly chime in on that. See if I can kick in the future land use plan here. Go over here. Here, share screen. And here we go. Okay, it's going to be a little bit hard to see because I zoomed all the way in. It's a little blurry. But what you'll see is, and can you see my cursor moving around? Or just the map?
Yep. No, we can see the cursor up.
Okay, so you'll see right in this corner here is the existing business zone. The proposal is to kind of like expand it outward over in this area here. You can see all four corners are currently zoned business, which makes a lot of sense because we have a State Road 322, and most of the uses along this area are actually serving the general neighborhood in this area of town. So they're more of a neighborhood level style of service and uses that are associated with supporting these greater neighborhoods in the area. So, having a slight expansion from this area here, in my opinion, is completely consistent with the plan of conservation and development. But it's up to you.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up, Caleb, is just to sort of focus the conversation appropriately. As Peter said, we're not talking about what's going to go there. That can change from now until whenever. What we're looking at is whether we want to change the zone from a residential to a business zone. And so when you ask for hours of operation, they could tell you it's going to be from 9 to 5, but when the site plan comes before us, they could tell us something completely different. So I just don't want to get lost too far into the weeds about what they propose might be their idea today, because that idea could be something different an hour from now, much less 3 months from now, whenever they come forward with a site plan. So, but with that, I mean, I don't know if the applicant wants to respond to your question, Caleb.
No, I'm happy to respond. Our hours of operation.
Could you just identify yourself, David, please?
Sure. Again, David Carabetta, 601 Winding Ridge, Southington, Connecticut. We have a current facility very similar to what we hope to design in that area in Meriden. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Very similar to the gas station across the street from us and the Dunkin' Donuts, or at least I believe the Dunkin' Donuts is still 24 hours. Our usage is, basically during the day. There's minimal usage at night, very little use overnight, but we are a self-service facility, so we want to be open 24 hours because it's basically to service the community. Many people utilize the facility on their way to work, maybe early in the morning, could be coming home late at night. So we want to make it accommodating to the area.
Okay. Thank you, David. Caleb.
Just to add on, Mike Riccio, just to add on to Dave, we'll address the lighting and all at site plan. I think you'll be very pleased with it. The use on the car wash use is a very quiet, it's not a very loud, should not be any disturbance to the neighborhood at all.
I appreciate both of those comments, and to the chairman's point, I don't want to get too far into the weeds with this piece of it, but there is that once we do change to business, what's going to happen there is going to change from just being somebody's house to some operation. But I do appreciate your response. Thank you.
You all set, Caleb?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thanks. Commissioner Volpe.
Commissioner Volpe here. Yeah, I was going to echo some of what Rob got to before me, that the POCD on, page 64 does talk about this and expanding. And I would agree that it's probably a good idea with that corner lot, with the other businesses. And I echo my fellow commissioners that I am concerned with this site plan. I'm concerned still with traffic. I'm not sure 2020 is really a good gauge for any traffic study at this point, but I digress. My only other question is for Rob. Was there ever a corridor study done on 322 that was recommended in the POCD on page 62?
No, that was there was a discussion during the POCD process to look at corridor studies, not only for West Street, but for also Queen Street and Meriden Waterbury Turnpike. But we're focusing on West Street right now, and that's about to get underway.
Okay, great. Thank you. Areas along that corridor really do connect our community and bring in visitors from outside of it. So as far as the zone change, which is what we're discussing, I am inclined to agree with it. However, I do have some apprehensions just about overall size and, this was a residential zone from its conception. So you have people there that are going to maybe be uncomfortable by any of the increase in business to that area. So I just want to make that clear to my fellow commissioners, but that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Christina. Commissioner Solka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of my questions have been asked and answered, but the one I have, I just wanted to clarify something, and that is if we decide to go ahead and rezone this as business, and they present a site plan to us, I'm hearing that this is going to run 24/7 based on, preliminary input. But it's my understanding that if that is the case, as a commission, we can stipulate perhaps that the 24/7 may not be acceptable to us. Can we do that within a business zone? Could someone clarify that? I just want to clarify my.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was directed to. Rob Phillips. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have to look again just to be sure. I have too many windows open. It takes too long on my computer here at home. But I can't recall off the top of my head whether there's a special permit. If that's the case, certainly we can do that. If it's just a site plan, a discussion should be had. And I think stipulations on hours could be defensible. But I'm pretty sure this would be a special permit. But don't quote me on that. I have to double check again.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So at this point, we'll open it up to members of the public. If there's anybody who'd like to testify in favor of this application, please identify yourself, unmute yourself, identify yourself, and let us know what your thoughts are. I see you there, Mike. We'll call you in 1 second. I just want to make note that we did receive a couple letters that are in the file. I think there were, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, there was 2 in opposition. Was there any other one? Rob Phillips.
Hold on, there we go. I had a problem here with my mouse. Yeah, there were two in opposition. Let me just mention the names here. Okay, where is it here? There we go. All right.
Mike Fasano, you're on standby here because as soon as he's done, I'm coming to you. So just get ready.
First letter of opposition was from Doris A. Fillion, 1644 Meriden Avenue. That's been posted online for everybody to review. The second one in opposition that we received is from Brian Della Ventura. I don't see that I have an address on that one, but it was a letter in opposition that we received, and it is posted online for all to review.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Mike Fasulo, go ahead. Just give us your address and your name, please.
I am Mike Fasulo. I live at 77 Southshire Drive in Southington. I've been living in the south end of town my whole life. I grew up in Milldale, and 23 years ago, I built a house off of South End Road on Southshire Drive. I am a member of the LLC that owns the property in question, and I was excited to be a part of it because it was an opportunity to clean up what was there and make good use of that property. I don't have a whole lot to add to what Mike Riccio and Dave Carabetta said, but I do want to say that this has already been discussed, but the property had an abandoned gas station on it that was becoming an eyesore. It was removed, it was cleaned up, and now when you look at the property, it's vacant land and a couple of old buildings. So I see this as an opportunity to add to the commercial corner that's there and put the property into good use. I know this is not a hearing for the type of business, but I am familiar with the plans and the other location that the applicant has, and it's just a beautiful site, and I think it would really enhance that corner and finish off that corner in a nice way. So I'm definitely in favor of making the zone change to let that possibility move forward.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Is there anyone else out there who'd like to testify in favor of this application? Okay, I don't see anyone testify in opposition to this application. I don't see you. Oh, somebody there?
I think somebody needs to unmute David.
David Conable, you muted right now. You need to unmute yourself.
Now can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah, just give us your name and your address, please.
David Conable, 335 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike.
Go ahead. Thank you.
With this site plan, my neighbor who lives at 321, he rents the property. He lives in Texas, so I know he's at work now. He's not seeing any of this. But I see his driveway and where you're having the traffic coming in. I guarantee you people are going to be pulling in his driveway. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Would you like me to put the plan back up on the screen?
Please.
Everybody see that?
Yep. So David, that's the property just to the north on Meriden Avenue?
No, Meriden Waterbury Turnpike to the
Okay,
west.
so it's to the west.
Yes,
Must be this property.
Okay,
that'd be 321.
got it. I see the driveway there. Go ahead.
Right now, people will pull into his driveway. They even pull into my driveway thinking it's a through street to Jade Circle. My concern is with the traffic coming down there, the road to me is too narrow. I've almost been rear-ended pulling into my driveway. I usually have to wait for that traffic light to turn red to pull out of my driveway safely. If you're going to have people coming down to go into this entrance, you know, nowadays most people don't use a signal. And it's going to be like, are they pulling into the car wash or are they just going to start gunning it? You know, to me, it's a safety factor.
Okay.
I just wonder if you see where I'm coming from with that,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I know that road can get pretty hazardous at times.
Yeah, especially since the speed limit of 45 in front of my house with that sign and nobody does it, you know?
Yeah. Tell me about it, David. I live on a street that's supposed to have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I get people going 50 miles an hour down it all the time.
Hobart Street, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying. One of the things that comes into play here is that is a state-owned and operated roadway, and therefore it's governed mostly by the State Traffic Commission. And we've passed certain things on this commission, and the State Traffic Commission has overturned those. So, I mean, one of the things we might want to consider as this moves forward. I mean, again, this isn't a site plan application right now, but it's is looking at something like that and seeing if there's something we can do to make it a little bit the driveway maybe a little bit clearer, so they don't mistakenly pull into another driveway, and maybe giving a little leeway for people to make that right hand turn into that.
Yeah, Rob Phillips, real quick, just because I was able to look up the regulation, I can confirm that it's a special permit and site plan. So a lot of these site plan level concerns can certainly be handled, and any conditions can be placed upon the special permit.
Yeah, and then, like, again, Dave Conable, 335 Meriden Waterbury, the runoff from the site is a big concern, because even now with what's there, during heavy rains, the backyard can become a river. And if you've ever been back there on Jade Circle, the lady behind me, that is a actual river, you know. So that's another concern, is how much is it going to cause a runoff to our properties?
Yep. Thank you, sir. I hear that, David, too. And I think that's more of a site plan. Good night, Will. Sorry, my son just came in. I think that's more of a site plan consideration. So, you know, I'm sensitive to that type of stuff, and I think that there's other members. I don't want to speak for them, but I think there's other members of the commission that do that. I think town staff does a pretty good job of making sure that there's appropriate drainage that's included in this type of thing once it moves forward. So.
Okay.
But David, your points are well taken.
Yeah, because I know my neighbor. He's gonna most likely wanting to be getting in touch with you, because the time difference between Texas and here, and he's at work. And I know he's got a lot more concerns about it because his property actually abuts it, you know.
Got it.
Yeah. So how much time does he have to react to this?
Well, this again, David, is a zone change application. It's not a site plan application. So we're not talking about specifics about what they want to put there. We're just being asked whether we agree that it should be changed over that sliver of land, if you will, 0.38 acres, if I remember correctly, should be, I'm sorry, 0.83 acres, had that backwards, but whether we think that that should be, is appropriately zoned as a business zone. And then from there, they would have to apply, make an application, a special permit application, actually under our zoning regulations. If they wanted to do a car wash, that's what would be required of them to do that. And at that time, they would submit a site plan with us, which would show us what their site would look like, the building configurations, where it lay, drainage, driveway, parking, any of that type of stuff would all be disclosed under a site plan.
Yeah, Rob Phillips, Director of Planning, just to also add in, just for informational purposes, the special permit is going to be another public hearing. So if you want to just share that information with your contact, that if this zone change was approved and they do in fact move forward with a car wash, and again, as I believe the applicant mentioned, it's not guaranteed they're going to do a car wash. There's all kinds of uses in the business that could be done, but this is what they're proposing at this point in time. That would move on to a special permit. There's a public hearing required. Notice would go out to all the abutters within 500 feet. And then, you'd have another, it'd be the same exact situation where you'd have the chance for public comment. And that wouldn't happen until those applications are made. And that, we need about 2 to 3 weeks in advance before we can even schedule it. So just to kind of give you that kind of background about what would be next.
And there are statutory requirements on timing when those abutters have to receive that notification, when we have to publish it publicly. All that type of stuff becomes public notice, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, one more thing to add there as well. During the age of coronavirus, we don't have to publish in the newspaper like we normally do. We just have to post on the website. So the notice to abutters becomes all the more important.
Okay.
Anything else, David?
No, that's all.
Okay. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. Is there anyone else out there who would like to testify in opposition to this application? I don't see or hear anybody. Rob, is there a reason to keep this public hearing open?
Yeah, I don't see any call-in users here that didn't have a chance to speak, so I don't have any compelling reason to recommend it stay open.
Okay. I'll just say before we close this, and I don't know if any other commissioner wants to keep this open. I'll ask that in a second, but there are under our regulations, there are specific details on lighting and that type of stuff. So I'm sure that if this was to be approved at the next step at the site plan, that it would have to be conformed with our regulations in terms of lighting. And I think it was Jeff Gork who brought up something about buffer between abutting property owners. That's laid out there as well. So and under car wash, there's actually a special thing that doesn't appear, I don't think, anywhere else that talks about water usage, that they'd have to demonstrate water usage if that was to go forward. So, and I'm sure that the applicant is aware of this stuff. They do their homework probably pretty well. So any other thing from any other commissioner? Okay. Let's close the public hearing on this one. Item 7C, proposed zoning regulation text amendment to repeal section 18, redevelopment overlay district, and ROD, amendment 606. This was opened for a public hearing. It was tabled at our last meeting, November 17th. Do we have someone here to bring this out?
Yeah, Rob Phillips, Director of Planning. I don't know if we opened the public hearing last time, but
yeah, I don't know. That's what it says on the agenda. So
yeah, well, it might have been a scrivener's error, but certainly we're going to actually talk about it tonight. I did forward out a comment from the Economic Development Director to the entire commission for review, and it's actually been posted online as well for everyone to review. But essentially, to kind of summarize this, the RODs, the Redevelopment Overlay District, is really what's called an overlay zone. So it's, if you think about an onion, one layer would be your underlying zoning map, and then the outer layer would be an overlay zone that's specifically designed to be in certain areas based upon the initiative that you're trying to further. In this case, in the Plan of Conservation and Development back in 2006, the first one before this last one, not the first one, but the one before this current one, this ROD concept was approved through the POCD, and it outlined 4 or 5 distinct areas of multiple properties that, in some cases, some of the properties were impacted environmentally, and the objective was to try and incentivize the redevelopment of those properties by including properties adjacent to it and requiring a 10-acre minimum assemblage of properties in order to put together mixed uses, and that could be residential, commercial, what have you. So it was a good idea at the time. We went through our Plan of Conservation Development, the new one in 2016. It did say that we should consider enhancing it or changing it or doing any other kind of modifications that are necessary to make it effective and a proper incentive. And to date, as we see, we've had no development in those areas. So we're looking at 14 years now that this has been in place, and we've had a number of different types of development proposal, but they've never been compliant with an ROD overlay, except for one, which was, as we all know, the Greenway Commons in the downtown area, which was actually approved shortly after that first 2006 or the previous 2006 POCD approval. We obviously know nothing's happened there except for the demolition of the buildings and most of the cleanup of the environmental work. But again, that approval, the original approval was in 2007. That was subject to the beneficial statutory change through the Great Recession that allowed a 9-year original approval instead of 5, and also have a 5-year extension, as we always do with site plans. So we had up to 14 years to complete that, and it expires next fall, I believe it is, in 2021. And there's no real reason to believe that anything's going to have any traction there to be developed from now until then. So just speaking with the Economic Development Director, other town staff, we feel as though that the evidence is there that it's not necessarily conducive to development to have this framework, but it actually might be an impediment to development because it hasn't produced anything of any substantial improvement. So economic development feels as though for lack of better words, the hands would be untied a little bit if we could remove this kind of now what looks like a restriction over these areas. And to that end, that's what we have before you is to actually repeal the actual language in the zoning regulations for ROD. And if that would be supported by the commission, the next step would be to remove the ROD references in the POCD, which would require it's basically a 2-month process. You have to do a referral to the town council for their review, like you would if you were adopting a POCD. And then it would come back to you for a decision. So that's kind of where we're at. I know maybe you want to think about it a little bit. I know it's been on the agenda, but we haven't discussed it. Maybe you've been thinking about it, but at this point in time, we shouldn't be in the business of keeping regulations on the books that aren't necessarily, leading to a means to an end to the outcome that we were, all anticipating. And I think 14 years is a pretty good example of something that just hasn't really worked to date. And so that's kind of in a nutshell executive summary that's where I'm at. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, Rob, I'll open it up to other commission members. I have just one question. You and I have talked about this a little bit. Will by doing this, is it anticipated that will assist in the ability of our town or our economic development director to market and ultimately to try to find a suitor for the Greenway Commons property in downtown Southington?
Well, I think the way it's set up now, that overlay that's there was associated with that specific approval back in 2007. And assuming that doesn't come to fruition, you're really kind of, back at square one. And, certainly I think, the options start to open up to you in that area. and the commission still retains the control. It would be an industrial zone. They would retain control as far as what you would like to see happen there, and certainly economic development. Having discussions with them, as you see in the document that was produced by Lou Perillo, he believes that he would have the ability to effect change a lot quicker than what this framework was set up originally to do.
Okay. Okay, let's open it up to the other commission members. Let's start with Commissioner Gwark.
This is Commissioner Gwark. Rob pretty much went over my concerns about, freeing it up for additional development. So that was my major question, was how would this affect us going forward? So I'm all set.
Okay. Commissioner Coles?
Hi, Commissioner Coles here. So I like to echo kind of what was already been said. I don't think that just keeping something on the books for the sake of keeping something on the books is necessarily a huge benefit to our community. I guess the one question I would have is, I think Robbie said that this was pretty much written on the record just for this one particular property, and then kind of patched around town for other sections. Is that accurate?
No, as I understand, it was written. They identified about, I think it's 4 or 5 different areas of town. There's 2 down in the Plantsville area. There's 1 in Milldale, the one that Greenway Commons. So I guess it would be 4. And I think they were all written into the POC at the same time in 2006. And then the associated zoning framework was then entered into the zoning regulations subsequent to that. And, Greenway was one of them. Greenway happened to be something that was approved right away. So, the question becomes, and I know there was some association with the drafter of the POCD and that property, was there, kind of a cart before the horse, so to speak, in that case. Maybe not. It's water under the bridge here nor there at this point in time. So what we have is what we have right now, and we've seen no progress.
Thank you.
You got it.
You all set, Kayla?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Santago.
Thank you. So, Rob, what expires in 2021? You said something expires in 2021.
Yeah, the approval for the Greenway Commons, that whole development expires in 2021.
Okay, so that expires. So that's your relationship between this business overlay zone and that, right?
Yeah, that's the only example of it actually being put in place. And there's no more extension time available for that project. So if someone came in tomorrow, it's going to take a 1-year design process to make changes. They're going to, it's a brand new approval once they expire. There's no.
Okay. So, but I guess by taking this off the books, I guess what the contention is, we're helping that situation to try to market it. And to what Caleb was saying or inferring, are we hurting anything else by doing it?
Yeah, I don't see any detrimental impact.
Okay.
Moving a potential incentive that hasn't actually come to fruition and hasn't had any successful application.
Yeah, but to that said, that's why they call it fishing, not catching. So, you have your worm in the water, and I'm not going away just because a school of fish hasn't come by yet. So, taking things off the book because I didn't get my way yet. Am I hurting anything by having it stay there?
Well, I think that's the whole point. The requirements for there to be a mixed use in this area means you have to have a 10-acre minimum. You have to have property to assemble that property. So I think there's a layer of complexity and I guess technical type of. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, so it's hard for me to kind of keep my thoughts together here. But there's a layer of complexity there that may not be necessary, may in fact be a bit of a problem when it comes to redeveloping. I mean, for example, you've got that that is, I guess, would be a historic building over in Plantsville that there's a distillery that's taken a long time, but they're supposed to go into that property. That would have been one of the properties that we would have wanted to see as part of an ROD to help prop up and develop that property, but we already have interest in it. So, you know, what it is it's coming down to is that there are people with interest in certain properties, and they may, even if they are impacted, you know, there's still interest there. So, you know, certainly some of the more economic type questions, if you want to delve into some of that, yeah, I certainly can't answer that, but Lou Perillo obviously could. So, I mean, if you feel as though you need to have some more economically based answers to questions, and certainly there's no time limit on this. You can easily move it to the next meeting and see if we can and see if we can get Lou at one of our future meetings to chime in on any questions. But you know.
Okay. No, it sounds like this will help Lou, for lack of a better word, or the town change direction to market that area in a better way. The only thing that which I get, the only other thing is I don't want unintended consequences elsewhere. And if you're telling me that won't happen, then I'm cool with that. So I don't want to do something with one thing in mind and cause something detrimental somewhere else. So that's kind of the basis of my question.
Yeah, no, I don't think, like I said, again, this is an added layer, like an outer layer of the onion. Just removing the outer layer of the onion reverts everything back to the underlying zone. And each individual property has its own owner, you know, has its own unique situation. Yeah.
Okay, I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Commissioner Locks.
I'd like to hear from Lou the next meeting, if that's possible.
Okay.
Before I make a decision to repeal this, just to see where he stands, where we want to go with this. And I agree that you want to have it more marketable, and we want to, you know, make that area, especially Greenway Commons, a nice area. It's the center of town. So,
Sue,
yes.
Sorry, Sue, were you around during that 2006 POCD?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Okay, so you could probably offer some insight then. I mean, I know it's a while ago, but
it went back and forth and back and forth. Trust me. And when they put it through, I wasn't too sure if we should have done it this way to begin with. So that's why it would be nice to have Lou come in and see where, you know, he thinks this area could go, you know, in the other three areas.
yeah, and Greenway was right after the POCD, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that we can, you know, and Rob, if you can reach out to Lou, or I can reach out to Lou and just ask him to attend our next meeting. I think it's scheduled for December 1st.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we'll certainly do that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
You good for now? Good for now?
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Commissioner Volpe.
Commissioner Volpe here. Yeah. Commissioner Locks kind of just went down where I was going to go. I would like to hear from Lou, just because I want to understand better what is restrictive about this. Is it the, you know, the square footage, or is it, you know, the 10 acres? I also would want to consider, you know, our POCD, the most recent one, did discuss some of the adaptive reuse policies out there that we all know I am a big, you know, advocate for, and historic overlay zones that could help in getting tax credits to rehabilitate buildings like the one that you mentioned in Plantsville. Those are economic development incentives used by all of the surrounding towns, and yet we have no provisions for it, as far as I know, Rob, in our regulations. So I would like to talk to Lou, because maybe that is something that could assist with the other. If this is a look at our industrial buildings that are vacant, there is a better way to go about it than the redevelopment overlay zone. But I agree with Commissioner Santago that we shouldn't just get rid of it when we still have qualifying buildings, it seems. So I guess I need some more answers.
Yeah, I just, Rob Phillips again, just real quick. There, we do have some regulations for buildings that predate, I believe it's 1957, that do allow for adaptive reuse, and you're seeing that at the old Colt, or sorry, the old Clark Bolt building down in Canal. You're seeing it at the Factory Square. You know, you're seeing that in a number of areas where we have those pre-existing factory buildings, and they are going to a very diverse group of adaptive reuse tenants, which is especially Factory Square. It's pretty interesting. So that's there, but that only applies to pre-1957 buildings.
Correct. Yes. Commissioner Volpe here again. I'm just saying that, like, you know, as I'm sure you know, Rob, that there are other, you know, zoning provisions in place for the adaptive reuse of historic properties that incentivize without having to have a complete redevelopment overlay district, that we might be able to revisit some of the regulations that are in place and consider adopting some of those economic incentives for historic properties that we don't currently have. That's all I was going to say. And yes, I would like to hear from Lou. And that's all I got.
There you go. Thanks, Christina. Commissioner Salka?
In reading Lou's letter and listening to what Rob has had to say, is I really don't see I see an upside but no downside to this thing in removing it from our regulations. But you know, with what Commissioner Volpe said and Commissioner Locke said, I would like to hear from Lou on the financial ramifications as well. So you know, I support that for the next meeting.
Just Bob Salka, just to get some reassurances from him that we're not taking a step, or being strategic about the step that we're taking, I guess is the way I would phrase it. That's what you're looking for, if I'm hearing everyone correctly. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm looking for, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Bob Salka?
That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think that it would be good to hear from Lou's perspective, not to take away from Rob's description of what the intent is here. I just think it would be good for the commission to hear that from perspective and maybe answer a couple questions about that type of stuff. So we'll certainly keep this public hearing open.
Yeah, certainly. I did let Lou know that he may the commission may want to speak to him directly. So
I'm sure he won't be surprised. Okay. Are there any members of the public who'd like to testify in favor of this application? You got to unmute yourself, Mike.
Okay, how's that?
You're good.
Mike Riccio, 124 Andrew Street, Southington. Just putting on my Economic Development Committee member hat here for a second. I think bringing Lou in would shed a lot of light on this area and help you to understand his kind of thinking process. Having let's just take Ideal Forge as an example. Having residential on that property is crucial to the future success of our downtown. Now, whether that's the number of units that are there now or not, that's debatable by your commission. But having some density there is definitely crucial to the success of our downtown. And you can look to any successful rebirth of any city around Connecticut. Look in West Hartford as an example. What that's done to generate businesses back, now mostly restaurants, but still better than empty storefronts. I think most people would agree that having some type of multi-use there is much better than an industrial drop forge. But I think having this change will give your commission and the Economic Development Commission an opportunity to make some changes that people didn't think about 15 years ago. So I think it was a great idea at the time. And don't forget, there's a special overlay tax district there that helped redevelop and clean up that property. Obviously, our struggles are frustrating with the current owner, but I think getting Lou in is a great idea for you guys to get he definitely has some insight in it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Any other members of the public would like to testify on the application for this proposed zoning regulation change? Okay, I don't see anyone else, Rob. Let's leave this one open. And Rob, either you and I will talk and we'll talk to Lou about getting him in here to at the next meeting if that's possible.
Sure.
Right?
Yep, sure.
Okay, let's move on to 8A, Michael Treviso, special permit application to construct a garage in excess of 3 spaces, property located at 212 Valley View Court in an R40 zone. This is SPU number 642. Can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve SPU 642 with the following stipulations. One, the exterior of the building will match the exterior of the existing home. No business will be run out of this garage. And number 3, per the applicant, that no trees will be removed from the property as part of the construction of this garage.
Thanks, Bob. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Coles will second that.
Commissioner Coles with a second. Is there any discussion? Rob, can you call the roll, please?
Gorick,
Commissioner Gwarek, yes.
Locks,
Commissioner Locks, yes.
Volpe,
Commissioner Volpe, yes.
Coles,
Commissioner Coles, yes.
Santiago,
Santiago, yes.
Salka,
Commissioner Salka, yes.
Hammersy.
Hammersy is a yes. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, Michael. Moving on to item 8E. Seth Rubino, VP, KJA, agent for Michael Riccio and David J. Carabetta. Application to change zone boundary from an R2025 to a B. Property located at 307 Merida Waterbury Turnpike, owned by Capanos LLC. Parcel size 0.83 acres. This is zone change number 568. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, Commissioner Salka, make a motion to approve CC 568.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Locks, second.
Second from Commissioner Locks. Is there any discussion on this?
Mr. Chair.
Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Peter Santiago. So I think I don't have any issue with the zone change for business, but certainly because I'm just happy, that particular area is being something concrete versus what it has been and is now. But I'm sure the applicants and Sev and everything will take some of the discussion that we've had today when they come back, site plan wise or special permit wise, of the type of things we'll be asking about: drainage, access from Merida Waterbury Road, certainly environmental things and buffers to the neighbors and all those kind of things. So, this commission has been very consistent in asking those types of questions for everybody. And so I'm sure we would do that for this one as well. And so I have no issue with that. And hopefully we'll develop a nice relationship moving forward.
Okay. Thanks, Peter. Any other discussion?
Commissioner Salka,
Go ahead.
I echo what Commissioner Santiago said. And there are already industrial buildings there. If this was going to be strictly a residential and homes were there, that'd be a different story. But we've had some grandfathered industrial buildings there already. So I'm in support of this zone change.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Is there any other discussion? Rob, does this business zone require sidewalk?
Again, this is just the zone change. So when we get to the special permit site plan, absolutely, they're going to have to look at.
I asked the question because to the point made by Bob and Peter that the applicant is smart and they're listening, and I just want to make sure that they include that in their site plan should they come back with something.
Yeah, they
be
need
approved.
Yeah, they need to show it, and if they're requesting a waiver, they still need to show it though.
Yep. Okay. See, no further discussion. Rob, can you call the roll, please?
Okay, we'll take care of the effective date after this. Quark,
Commissioner Gwarek, yes.
Locks,
Commissioner Locks, yes.
Volpe,
Commissioner Volpe, yes.
Coles,
Commissioner Coles, yes.
Santiago?
Santiago, yes.
Salka?
Commissioner Selka, yes.
Hammersley?
Hammersley, yes. Motion passes 7-0. Rob, you'll talk about effective date of this.
Yeah, I would recommend December 2nd. That's 15 days after today.
Is there any objection to that suggestion? Seeing none. 15 days. Moving on to item 8C, LE Real Estate site plan modification application for a 2-story office retail building, property located at 1615 West Street in a WSB zone, parcel size 2.13 acres. Special permit 1802. And this was tabled from November 4th, Sev. I understand you are asking for a continuation.
Mr. Chairman, Sev Bovino, planner with Cranston Jones, representing the applicant. Yes, we would like to continue.
Okay. Is there any objection to tabling this item? Rob, we don't need a motion for this, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay. I see no objection, so we'll move on to item 8D. Propose zoning regulation text amendment to repeal section 18 redevelopment overlay zone district ROD zone amendment 606. I think we're going to table this. The public hearing's still open. Is there any objection to tabling this item?
No. Mr. Chairman, I move to table.
There you go. We have a motion from Peter. Who's the second?
Commissioner Selka, second.
Commissioner Selka, any objection? All those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries on a voice vote. Items, moving on to item 9 on the agenda, administrative items. We have a regulations review committee update and discussion. Peter Santago or Rob Phillips, do we have something there?
No, I don't have anything for this. We haven't met since the last meeting, so we'll schedule our next meeting for that. Just if people had feedback on the tape, the idea of revamping the presentation of it, if you could let us know. And just for the commission's edification, how we had said outside of this, I don't want to say look and feel of regulations. The idea that we were going to do was start at the beginning and work our way to the back of the book. And so we would, once we got through the some of the things that you got in front of you in regards to the history and the indexing and how look and feel is, we would start with the first regulation and look at it and move to the back. And a lot of folks like to give suggestions. What about? But what we said we wouldn't do is operate on an ad hoc basis, where we kind of cherry pick things to go look. We'll do it very systemically, going from the front of the book to the back of the book. And so that's kind of the process that we were going to go by. And so, Rob, we need to schedule that meeting. So I know we've been wanting to do that. So we'll have to get that on the record. We'll see when Sue and Joe are available.
Yeah, it's likely it's probably not going to be until after the next meeting of December 1st because of the holiday coming. So.
Yeah. So
coming up here.
Yeah. So we'll get that. We'll just get that on the record, and we'll meet to do that. So.
Okay. Thanks, Peter, for all your work on that. The last thing we have there is...
I should say, though, that if a commission member has thoughts or, geez, I never liked this particular thing, or could you make a special look at this particular section, whatever, get it to Rob, Sue, Joe, or myself. And when we get to that section, we'll take that under advisement. Go, okay, geez, let's look here and special look at it. This way, it certainly will help us. So certainly, welcome to suggestion.
Or anything in the past we've discussed already as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Add there.
Any suggestions? We asked for them. I don't think Peter got any from the last time he asked. So
You do a great job. So
yeah.
God bless you, by the way. I saw you sneeze.
Thanks.
It just got anyway. So
Right.
okay. Thanks, folks. The last item under number 9 is an authorization for administrative approval. Jim, you want to talk about what this is?
Well, real quickly, it's a proposal for an additional curb cut onto Aircraft, which is kind of towards the western side. There's an existing curb cut. They kind of want to have one a little bit on the eastern side of that western curb cut, and that's for circulation of non-tractor trailer, box truck circulation. You know, as you know, there's an Amazon distribution facility over there. There's 2 different distribution facilities. I forgot it's called Worldwide. I'm not sure exactly what the name of it is, but basically that 75 Aircraft is pretty much entirely filled out again with, I would call them adaptive reuses, and it's doing very, very well. So, Jim, I don't know if you want to talk about real quick some of the, we've already been working on this from a staff standpoint. The multi-use trail is going to run by the northern property line, and it would cross over this proposed curb cut. So we are already looking at safety improvements and things like that would be necessary for that. So, Jim, I don't know if you have anything more to add on that.
Yeah, just to continue. Thanks, Rob. Jim Grappone. We did actually have a meeting today with DOT about the trail project. One of the main crossing areas is Yard Meadows, so safety is a big concern about that area. So I would continue the same reasoning for this area. So there's warning signs that are being put up well ahead of each side of the driveway crossing at Yard Meadows. There's pedestrian crosswalk, stop signs, stop bars. Those are some of the amenities that we're proposing for trail safety. So we're going to be looking for these types of comments and the applicant to address these for 75 Aircraft.
So any commission members who have any thoughts on this? You want to share? I'll say, and I've said this to Rob, I know in the past, but I actually ran into that convoy of white out of there. It's actually something to behold. If you ever are out there and you hit the shift, you'll be amazed. We were sitting in a car and it was no exaggeration, 35 white out of that area, and it was like a parade. I mean, yeah, I've never seen anything like that in my life, but anyways, I'm glad that the property is sounds like it's fully utilized right now, so that's a good thing for everybody. But does anyone have a problem with staff doing an administrative approval of this site plan application, I guess, is the question before us.
Yeah, and I'll be real quick. I'll add, just echo what Bob's just said. Those uses that are in there right now are not only bulletproof to this coronavirus, economic situation, but they're thriving because those are your packages being delivered in many cases.
Peter, I think I saw your hand up for a second. Do you have anything to add? No. So I'm, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm taking it by what I'm hearing and seeing that nobody has a problem with town staff doing administrative approval on this. Okay. So Rob and Jim, does that satisfy what you need there?
Sure.
You good? Okay. Item number 10 on the agenda. Do we have anything scheduled for a public hearing right now?
Nothing for a public hearing.
Any new applications?
Yeah, we just received, I believe it was this morning, a application for, it's going to be a site plan modification for one of the pad sites that were previously approved over at 99 Executive out in front of Home Goods. It's proposed to be it's called a 110 Grill. So believe it or not, there's a restaurant that is coming in for an approval during this period of time. I guess they must have a crystal ball. They must know that by the time they're done constructing, all this will be in the past.
Well, their risk is our gain, I think. So,
Is that a chain, Rob? 110 Grill?
I looked it up real quick. It looks like there's places or locations in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, I think maybe Maine. I'm not sure. So it's near the
it's their first location in Connecticut.
Yeah, so you're right. Yeah, from what I could see.
They couldn't have place to be. We get the benefit from all. Hopefully, they'll be indoor dining by the time they open their doors. Cut the ribbon, anyways. All right.
Mr. Chairman, one final question, please.
Yeah. Who is this?
Commissioner Selka.
I'm trying to see who's talking. Oh, I didn't spot. Sorry. Go ahead.
Left-hand corner on my screen.
Yeah.
I guess it's more for Rob. What is happening with the car? Didn't we at one point approve a car wash near the bowling alley in that parking lot or the commuter parking lot? Is there anything happening on that?
Oh, the truck wash.
Yes, there you go.
You know, I haven't heard anything on that. Jim, have you heard anything on that? Yeah, it's that came up a little while ago. I think Lou brought it up and asking what was going on, and we just don't know. We haven't heard anything.
Okay. It's been a while, I know,
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It was approved about a year ago. It was like September, October of last year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll see what I can figure out. And certainly when Lou comes back on, maybe he'll have something by then.
Okay. Anything else from anybody?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Gwarek?
Yes.
Just
Jeff,
as unrelated, I don't know if anybody else is going to be interested, but I got something in the mail from internet provider, fiber optic, Go Net Speed. Rob, do you have any insight when it's going to go live? I know they've been running wires, I heard, and I just want to switch from Cox because I can't stand paying that much money for internet. So
I don't even know what that company is, and certainly any of those utilities I wouldn't know about. Jim, maybe you would, but I doubt it too, right?
Yeah, I have not heard anything as far as when the startup. I know they're working on wire lines also.
Okay, yeah, I just saw a $50 flat rate for good speed upload and download. So if I can get rid of Cox anyway, I'm in. So if you guys could put in a good word to get the wires up faster, then please do so.
Just keep in mind, if you live in an area that has underground wiring, they're not going to support it. So
yeah, that's true. All right, that's it for me. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion from Commissioner Salka. Do we have a second?
Give it the second.
Commissioner Cole, second. Before we take a voice vote on this, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I hope everyone has an opportunity to enjoy their family and friends and lots of good food. So with that, all those in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We are adjourned.
Way to go, Caleb. Getting the motions in tonight. Like it, baby.
That was like the shortest meeting we've had in a long time, I think.
In a while. Yeah. Like to see Caleb on the record, Matt.
Linda, your kitten is adorable. Good night, everyone.
Okay, guys, take care. Bye-bye.
I'll have you some onions just for you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know what's wrong with my thing here because the chat only allows me to respond to everybody. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to do something different here. I think I'm actually I'm a participant and not the host for some reason. I don't know what's going on here.
So Rob, I'll tell you, I told Rob I wrote down the onion thing. I might use it in one of my papers, and he goes, LOL, I love onions to everyone. And I got great pleasure.
And they're all like,
I love it.
So, it's funny. Like when I try to unmute people, it just says it's sending a request to unmute. So something's going on with my interface. Next time I gotta make sure I'm an admin on the admin page or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
always an adventure. As host, I got you listed as host on the screen.
But my actual screen interface is not the host screen interface. So It's probably because I have to go through the desktop app or something instead of going through my. There's like 15 different ways to access one of these these WebExes.
I know. My computer's slow just from having Teams, WebEx, Zoom. Like I can't get them all open at the same time. It messes everything up. But have a great night, you guys, and have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, have a good holiday.
You too. Thanks. Good job, Rob. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.